When God is about to give you something big. Are you facing one challenge after another, wondering why life suddenly feels so hard? You might feel like everything is falling apart just when you expected a breakthrough. Perhaps doors that once were open are slamming shut. Friends are drifting away, or every step forward meets resistance. In these moments of chaos and confusion, it's easy to question what God is doing. But hold on, these very struggles might be the signs of something profound happening behind the scenes. What if the hardships you're experiencing are not random at all? What if each setback, delay, or loss is actually part of a divine plan setting you up for a monumental blessing? It may sound unbelievable when you're in pain, but often the greatest blessings arrive after the greatest tests. The turmoil you're feeling could be the labor pains of a new season in your life. Instead of signaling defeat, your challenges might be hinting that God is preparing to give you something big, something far greater than you can imagine. When God is planning to bless you in a big way, He often starts with a season of preparation that we don't expect. This preparation can be uncomfortable and even painful, but it is purposeful. Every closed door, every struggle, every time a struggle, every closed door, every struggle, every closed door, every struggle, and every unanswered prayer right now could be paving the way for an incredible outcome. In the following sections, we'll explore why the toughest times often come right before God's biggest blessings and how you can hold on to hope through it all. The uncomfortable path to greatness. When God is about to give you something big, it almost never happens in the way you expect. There are no shortcuts to true success, and the path to your dreams is often paved with trials. You may find yourself suddenly stretched beyond your limits. The things you once held dear might start slipping away. Old routines get disrupted, relationships shift, and your world feels turned upside down. It's disorienting and uncomfortable. But understand this. This uncomfortable season is not a mistake. It is exactly in these moments of discomfort that God is at work, refining you and preparing you for what lies ahead. God doesn't simply drop blessings into your lap without preparation. Instead, He transforms you into a person who can handle the weight of the blessing. Just as a potter molds clay with pressure, God uses pressure and change to mold your character. You might feel like you're being broken, but in reality, you're being built. The process often involves stripping away what's unnecessary in your life. Sometimes God will remove distractions or crutches so that you can grow. It's a bit like a gardener pruning a plant. Branches are cut not to hurt the plant, but to allow it to grow stronger and bear more fruit. In the same way, God may be cutting away comforts and familiar things now so that you can carry the weight of greater blessings later. This process is hard, and it often comes with pain, struggle, and even loss. You may lie awake at night asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Yet every tear and every trial is part of the plan. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that you've failed or that God has abandoned you. On the contrary, it's a sign that God is deeply involved in your life. He is shaping you in ways you cannot yet see. One day you will look back and realize that this season of stretching changed you for the better. What feels like breaking now will turn out to be the making of a stronger, wiser, and more resilient you. So if your world feels shaky and upside down, take heart. God's preparation is underway, and it means something big is coming, tested and refined through trials. During this season, you will face tests of patience, faith, and endurance. You might feel discouraged at times, wondering if God's promises will ever come to pass. But remember, God does not test you to break you. He tests you to build you. He allows challenges in your life because He knows you are capable of overcoming them with His help. In fact, God believes in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself. Each trial is designed to strengthen you, not to destroy you. It's like a refining fire for gold. Hot and intense, but it purifies and brings out the value within. Your character, your faith, and your resolve are being refined in the fires of adversity. Think about the greatest success stories or heroes of faith. Without exception, great triumphs are preceded by great trials. The Bible and history are full of this pattern. David was anointed to be king, Yet he spent years on the run, hiding in caves and facing danger before he ever wore the crown. Those years of hardship were forging him into a leader strong enough to rule a nation with wisdom and courage. The greatest leaders are not made in times of comfort. They are forged in the fire of adversity. Much like an athlete who endures rigorous training before the championship game, or an artist who spends countless hours perfecting their craft before the big exhibition, we too must undergo preparation before we can handle our destiny. No athlete wins a gold medal without sweat and strain, and no masterpiece is created without dedication and revision. In the same way, our souls are refined through challenges so we can be ready for the glory to come. It's important to realize that waiting time is not wasted time. You might feel stuck, as if nothing is happening despite your prayers and efforts. But in periods of waiting, God is teaching you patience, trust, and reliance on Him. These virtues can only grow in the soil of uncertainty. Every delay has a purpose. Every setback is a setup for growth. In the Bible, Joseph had a dream of greatness, but before it came true, he endured years of slavery and imprisonment. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. When the time was right, he rose to power and was able to save many lives, including those of his own family. If Joseph had been elevated too soon, he would not have developed the wisdom and humility needed for that role. His trials were the training ground for his destiny. So if you are facing difficulties now, try to see them through this lens. God is training you like a champion. He's building muscles of faith and perseverance that you'll use to seize your big blessing. The struggle is strengthening you in ways a life of ease never could. It forces you to rely not on your own strength, but on God's. Often we don't know how strong our faith is until it's tested. When challenges come that are beyond your control, they drive you to depend on God more deeply. In those trials, you learn to trust Him in a way that easy times cannot teach you. None of this is to say the trials are enjoyable. They are not. Sometimes you will feel the heat of the fire and think it's more than you can bear. But when that happens, remember the pressure that forms diamonds. Coal under pressure transforms into one of the strongest, most beautiful substances on earth. Likewise, the pressure you're under is producing something precious in you. Every time you feel like you can't go on, remind yourself that God is with you in this, molding you into someone who can thrive in the greatness He has prepared. The discomfort and difficulty are signs that you're on the verge of something amazing. In fact, the very presence of these trials is evidence that you haven't been abandoned. You're being prepared. God is building you up, not tearing you down. When the blessing finally comes, when the doors open and the promise is fulfilled, you will be ready. You'll be able to handle the blessing with grace, wisdom, and strength because of what you've been through. You'll see that every painful step taught you something vital. So do not despise the struggle. Don't curse the uncomfortable process. Embrace it, knowing that in the end you'll emerge more prepared, more capable, and more blessed than you ever imagined. #when God prunes your life. Another clear sign that God is about to give you something big is when He begins to prune your life. Pruning is the deliberate removal of certain things to encourage growth. In your life, it may look like this. Doors that once were open start closing. Opportunities you counted on slip away, and people you thought would always be there begin to drift out of your life. These experiences can be painful and confusing. You might wonder, God, why is this happening? Why am I losing things or people that mattered to me? It can feel like you're being abandoned or stripped of what's important. But in those moments, remember that God knows what is best for you, even when it's hard for you to see. He is removing the distractions and weights that could hinder you from receiving the greater blessing He has planned. Think about a gardener caring for a vine. In order for the plant to thrive and produce more fruit, the gardener will carefully cut away branches that are dead, diseased, or even just excess. From the plant's perspective, if it had one, this pruning might hurt and could look like it's losing a part of itself. But the gardener knows that without pruning, the vine would be weighed down by useless branches and would not bear as much fruit. The pruning process is not meant to harm, it's meant to help the plant reach its fullest potential. In the same way, God is the master gardener of your life. When he sees something in your life that is no longer helping you grow, perhaps a relationship that pulls you down, a habit that wastes your time, or a commitment that drains you, he may remove it. It's not to punish you. It's to make room in your life for new growth and bigger blessings. During certain seasons, you may face unexpected losses or abrupt changes. A friendship might fade, a job may end, or plans you were excited about might fall through. Initially, this feels disheartening. It's natural to grieve when something is removed from your life. Yet, what if those changes are not a sign of rejection, but a sign of God's greater plan unfolding? What if God is clearing your path so nothing can hold you back from your destiny? The truth is that some people and things are only meant to be in our lives for a season, not forever. They may have helped you get to a certain point, but they cannot accompany you into the next chapter that God has for you. As painful as pruning is, it's a form of preparation for elevation. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying 2 heavy suitcases. You wouldn't get very far, and you'd definitely be slowed down. Likewise, if you are carrying too much baggage in life, you can't run toward your destiny at full speed. God loves you too much to let unnecessary weights continue to slow you down. When he removes something or someone, it's because that part of your life has served its purpose and would only hinder you moving forward. It's God's way of lightening your load. He wants you to run freely toward the amazing future he's prepared, without anything holding you back. It might feel like you're being left with less, but God is actually making space to give you more. He knows exactly what you need and what you don't. The things he's taking away were never meant to be permanent fixtures. They were part of your journey, not your destination. We often cling to the familiar simply because we're afraid of the unknown. Letting go can be frightening. What if nothing better comes? But here's a promise you can hold on to. God will never remove something from your life without replacing it with something better. It may not happen immediately, and it might not be in the form you expect. But in time, you will see the new growth and blessings that come after the pruning. Many people can testify that what they thought was a devastating loss turned out to be a blessing in disguise. You may discover that the job you didn't get, or the relationship that ended, or the plan that fell apart, actually led you to something far greater than you would have had otherwise. What feels like a loss now is often a divine setup for a better gain later. It's like a divine rearrangement. God is shifting circumstances around for your good. He is not in the business of leaving you empty. His plan is always to fill your life with meaning, purpose, and joy beyond what you could ask for or imagine. But first, he must remove the clutter that doesn't belong in the future he's preparing for you. So, when you sense that God is pruning your life, try not to panic or fall into despair. Instead, shift your perspective. Tell yourself, God must be making room for something amazing. Trust that every branch he cuts away is clearing space for new fruit to grow. Every goodbye opens the door to a new hello in God's timing. It's not about what you're losing. It's about what you're about to gain. Embrace the changes with faith. Remember that God's purpose for you is far too important to let anything derail it. He is carefully and lovingly removing the things that could hinder your growth. If you can surrender those things into his hands, you'll be ready to receive the new blessings he has in store. Pruning is a sign that your next season will be extraordinary. A divine stirring in your spirit. Have you felt a restless ache in your heart, a sense that you are meant for something more? When God is preparing to give you something big, he often places a divine stirring within your spirit. This is that sudden, unshakable feeling that the life you're living now isn't all there is, that there is a greater purpose calling out to you. It usually doesn't start as a loud announcement, but as a quiet whisper or a gentle nudge. You might find yourself daydreaming about doing something that makes a difference, or longing for a deeper sense of fulfillment. It's not born out of ingratitude or greed. It's a spiritual hunger for the more that God has planned for ye. Amazing. This inner stirring can actually be uncomfortable. At first, you may not understand it. You just know that the status quo no longer satisfies. The routines that used to make you content now feel empty. The achievements or hobbies that once excited you might not hold the same thrill. Even the comforts you used to enjoy might start to feel oddly uncomfortable. It's as though your soul is saying, "This is fine, but there's something greater ahead." You might hear a persistent inner voice saying, "You were made for more than this." That voice, that restlessness, is often God's Spirit urging you forward. It's a sign that He is getting ready to lead you into a new chapter of your life. It's important to recognize that this longing for more is a gift, not a curse. Instead of immediately trying to silence it or fill it with distractions, consider that God Himself placed that desire in you. He is preparing your heart for the next step in your journey. Think of it as God warming up your engine, getting you ready to move. He has given you a unique calling and purpose, and the dissatisfaction you feel with ordinary life is the first step toward embracing that calling. It's like an eagle in a nest feeling the instinct to fly. The nest was comfortable for a time, but eventually the eagle must soar. Likewise, you might have been comfortable in your situation for a season, but now God is gently pushing you to spread your wings. When you feel this stirring, you may also feel a mix of anxiety and excitement. Change is intimidating, even when we sense it's for the better. You might ask, "Why do I feel this way? Why can't I just be happy with how things are?" Those are normal questions, but remember, God doesn't stir your heart for no reason. He isn't trying to make you dissatisfied. He's trying to draw you into a bigger life. He has planted a dream or a purpose deep in your soul, and now it's starting to sprout. That dissatisfaction with mediocrity is actually motivation. It's urging you to step out of your comfort zone and into your calling. Here's something amazing. God wouldn't be prompting you to desire more if He didn't intend to lead you to more. He never gives us a longing without providing a way to fulfill it. If He is awakening a passion in you to start a business, help others, create something new, or serve Him in a greater capacity, He will also provide the opportunity and the resources in His timing. That desire for greater is a reflection of the greater plan He's designed specifically for you. It's as if your heart is echoing what God already knows about your future. So when you sense it, it's time to prepare for action. Of course, acting on this stirring can be one of the hardest parts. By its very nature, it calls you out of what's familiar. Leaving your comfort zone is never easy. There might be risks involved, uncertainties, maybe even opposition from others who don't understand what you're doing. But when God begins to move in your spirit, He is inviting you to trust Him for something new and amazing. Think of the biblical figure Abraham. God stirred his heart and told him to leave everything familiar and go to a land God would show him. Abraham had to take that leap of faith, leaving his comfort for an unknown promise. In your case, the specifics are different, but the principle is the same. God is saying, "There's more for you, but you have to follow me into it." This divine stirring is a challenge to rise above fear and complacency. It's God's way of stretching your faith. You might be thinking, "What if I try and I fail? What if I'm wrong about this feeling?" But ask yourself, what if you're right? What if this persistent longing is truly God leading you to your destiny? Wouldn't it be worth the risk? God is faithful to complete the work He begins in you. If He planted the seed of a dream, He will water it and help it grow as you step out in faith. The road might not be smooth. Great things often require great effort, but the reward of fulfilling God's purpose for your life is beyond compare. So, if today you find a fire burning in your heart for something greater, don't ignore it. Fan that flame. Pray and ask God to guide you and confirm His plans, but be ready to move when He says move. Talk to mentors or loved ones who can pray with you and support you as you pursue this calling. Lean into the longing rather than pushing it away. Let it propel you forward. It's there to give you energy and courage to embark on a new adventure with God. Remember, the best is yet to come. The very fact that you feel a stirring means God is not done with you. He is just getting started on a new chapter. Trust that He is leading you toward a life of greater purpose, deeper passion, and significant impact. Step by step, He will unveil the path to you. Every great story with God starts with a heart that said yes to His prompting. Your willingness to pursue that something more He placed in you will open the door to experiences and blessings you have not yet seen. Rise to the call, trust His timing, and step into the greatness He's preparing for you. Number, trusting God's perfect timing. In our fast-paced world, waiting can feel like torture. We pray for a miracle or a change, and we want it right now. But one of the most crucial lessons in this journey is learning to trust God's perfect timing. There will be times when the road ahead is completely unclear. You thought you knew where your life was going, and suddenly you're in a fog of uncertainty. It's easy in those moments to feel lost or frustrated. You might wonder, did I miss God's plan? Why isn't anything happening yet? It's in these seasons of waiting and confusion that your faith is stretched the most. And yet, it's also in these seasons that God whispers, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." God's plan for your life is far bigger than what you can see right now. Imagine standing at ground level in a maze. You can only see the walls immediately around you. But God has the view from above. He sees the whole layout. The obstacles in front of you, the delays and detours, are all part of a larger picture that He is crafting for your good. In the midst of your confusion, God is not confused. In your impatience, God is not impatient. He is calmly working everything according to His schedule. He doesn't make mistakes, and He's never late. What feels like a delay to you is, in fact, precise timing by Him. Yet trusting this can be hard. We live in a culture of instant gratification, instant messages, fast food, same-day delivery. Waiting on anything feels like an inconvenience, if not a failure. The longer we wait, the more we might be tempted to lose hope or take matters into our own hands. But the truth is, God's timing rarely matches our own, and that is a good thing. His ways are higher than ours. He knows if we're truly ready for the blessing we seek, or if more preparation is needed. He knows the exact right moment to open a door, so that when we walk through, everything is in place for success. Consider the story of Joseph again, this time from the perspective of timing. As a teenager, Joseph received a vision of greatness, that he would be in a position of leadership. But it took many years for that vision to become reality. In between, Joseph endured what seemed like unrelated, painful delays. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. It must have looked like his life was going totally off track. However, God's timing was at work the whole time. Every year Joseph spent in prison was not a year wasted. It was a year that things were developing both in Joseph's character and in the world around him. When the time was exactly right, Joseph was released and elevated to be the second in command in Egypt, exactly where he needed to be to save countless lives during a famine. If Joseph had been promoted even 1 year earlier, the pieces would not have been in place. Egypt might not have needed him yet, or he might not have had the wisdom he gained through suffering. But God orchestrated the timing flawlessly. Joseph himself later realized that all he went through was meant for good in the end. Now bring this home to your life. You might be asking, why hasn't it happened for me yet? Why is it taking so long for my prayer to be answered, my career to take off, my relationship to be healed, or my calling to come together? You see others moving forward, and it amplifies your frustration. But delay is not denial. Just because it isn't happening now doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means not yet. And not yet is a holy phrase when God is involved. It means He's still arranging things for you. Maybe He's working on your heart, or perhaps He's aligning external circumstances. Often it's both. Behind the scenes, God is like a master weaver, weaving together countless threads, your experiences, other people's actions, opportunities that haven't even arisen yet, into a beautiful tapestry. You can't see it because you're one of those threads, very close to the work. But one day, you'll see the full picture and understand why the wait was necessary. Every moment of waiting is an opportunity for you to grow. In the waiting room of life, we learn to trust God deeply or not at all. It refines our motives and strengthens our faith. If everything came instantly, we'd never learn patience or dependence. We might even become proud, thinking we accomplish things in our own strength. Waiting reminds us that we are not in control, God is. So what should you do in the meantime? It's not easy to wait, but you can choose an attitude of trust. Lean into God during the delay. Instead of fixating on the clock or the calendar, fix your eyes on Him. Pray, not just for the outcome you want, but for understanding and peace in the process. Say, God, I trust your timing. I don't understand it, but I believe you are working. Remind yourself of His faithfulness in the past. times when things worked out later and better than you expected. The same God who was faithful before will be faithful again. Also, consider that waiting is not just about God doing something for you, but also about God doing something in you. This is the time to let your roots of faith grow deep. Dive into Scripture and find promises that you can hold on to. Fill your mind with stories of how others waited and saw God come through, like Abraham waiting decades for a promised child, or David waiting years to become king, or the early church waiting for the promised Holy Spirit. Each of those waiting periods ended in fulfillment at the perfect time. When you feel anxiety rise and the urge to rush ahead, take a deep breath and remember, God is never idle. Even when you can't see anything happening, He is working. He's aligning the right people, the right breaks, the right opportunities, things you have no idea about. You might only see silence, but God is quietly arranging a symphony for your blessing. And when all is ready, things can change in an instant. The door will open, the answer will come, or the situation will shift and you will step into the moment God has prepared. And because you waited on Him, you'll be ready to handle it. One day, you will look back on this period of waiting and thank God for it. It sounds strange now, but it will make sense then. You'll realize that if you had gotten your way earlier, it either wouldn't have been as good or you wouldn't have been ready. You might even see how the timing protected you from something or positioned you for something better. God's timing is like the seasoning in a great recipe. If you rush it, the result isn't as delicious. But with patience, everything comes out just right. So trust Him. His timing is perfect. He has never been late in all of history, and He won't start with you. Surrender your timeline to Him. Say, Lord, I want your will, your way, in your time. When you do this, a beautiful thing happens. The peace of God, which transcends understanding, begins to guard your heart even while you wait. You start to live in the confidence that at the right time, your something big will arrive. And when it does, you'll be able to handle it with wisdom and grace, knowing it came at exactly the right moment by God's clock. Stepping out in faith and obedience, when that time comes, when God finally opens the door or points the way, another challenge emerges. Will you step out in faith? When God is about to give you something big, He not only prepares the blessing for you, He also prepares you for the blessing. Part of that preparation is a call to action. You may find that God is nudging you to do something that stretches your faith. It might be something that doesn't make complete sense or something that feels risky. This is the moment of obedience. It's one of the most powerful steps you can take, yet it can also be one of the hardest. Human nature craves certainty. We often think, God, if you just show me exactly how everything will work out, then I'll obey. But God often responds, obey, and then I'll show you. He wants us to trust Him enough to take a step without seeing the entire path. Obedience is not about having the full picture. It's about following God's call, even with incomplete information. Think of the biblical figure Abraham. God told him, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. God didn't give him a map or a detailed itinerary. Abraham had to leave behind everything familiar and walk into the unknown, solely on God's promise. That kind of faith is what God honors. Abraham's obedience unlocked tremendous blessings. He became the father of many nations, blessings that would have been impossible if he had stayed put until he understood the whole plan. In our lives, the steps of faith might be different. Maybe God is prompting you to start a new project, to reach out to someone, to give something away, or to move to a new place. It could be a small step or a life-changing one. Whatever it is, it likely comes with uncertainty. You might worry about what could go wrong, but remember this: God can see what you cannot. He may not explain Himself up front, but if He's calling you forward, it means He has already worked out what you will need when you get there. Obedience is the key that unlocks the door to the blessing on the other side. It's important to realize that God is not looking for perfection in your obedience. He is looking for willingness. You don't have to have all the answers or never feel nervous. You just need a heart that says, okay, Lord, I trust you, so I'll do what you ask. In the New Testament, there's a famous line, faith without works is dead, James 2:26. This means that faith isn't real until we act on it. You can say you trust God, but the real proof is in your choices and actions. If God says go, will you go? If He says give, will you give? If He says wait here, will you wait? Each act of obedience is like planting a seed. It may not look like much at first, but it will grow into something far beyond the size of that initial seed. Consider Peter, one of Jesus' disciples. During a stormy night at sea, Jesus came to the disciples by walking on the water. Peter saw Jesus and felt a surge of faith. He asked to join Jesus on the water. Jesus said, "Come." In that instant, Peter had a choice. The reasonable action would be to stay in the boat. After all, humans can't walk on water. The faithful action was to swing his legs over the side of the boat and put his feet on the waves. Peter chose faith. He stepped out of the boat and miraculously walked on water toward Jesus. It was only when he let fear creep in, taking his eyes off Jesus and focusing on the wind and waves, that he started to sink. Jesus caught him, of course, but the lesson remains: when we focus on God and His power, we can do the impossible. When we focus on our fears, we begin to sink. God may be calling you to step out of the boat in your own way. The waters might look rough. The future may be unclear. But if you keep your eyes on Him and move at His word, you'll find that He upholds you. Yes, you might feel wobbly at first, and that's okay. The miracle of walking in faith happens not because we are strong, but because God is strong and honors our trust. Another thing to keep in mind is that God usually reveals His plan one step at a time. We often wish He would give us a detailed plan for the next 5 years, but more often, He gives us just enough direction for the next single step. This is intentional. If we saw everything, we might try to skip steps, or we might be overwhelmed by the challenges ahead. But by giving us one step at a time, God invites us into a continual relationship of trust. After each step of obedience, we look to Him for the next step. This keeps us close to Him, relying on His guidance at every turn. It can be tempting to hesitate, to wait for a perfect moment when there's no risk or doubt. We say to ourselves, "I'll wait until I feel 100% sure." But life with God doesn't work that way. If you wait until you have no doubts, you'll never move. God isn't going to remove every uncertainty. Instead, He's asking you to trust Him in spite of uncertainties. He promises to be with you, to guide and provide for you, but He also asks that you take the leap. It's a bit like a parent in a swimming pool encouraging their child to jump in. The child might be scared because the water looks deep, but the parent is right there saying, "Jump, I will catch you." The bravery of the jump is rewarded by the safety of the parent's arms. God is inviting you to jump into His arms. He won't let you drown. One beautiful thing about God is that when you do take that step, no matter how small it is, He meets you with His faithfulness. He blesses your willingness to act, meaning that He will take your little step and magnify it. Your obedience can set miraculous events into motion. It's often after we take the first step that we see the evidence of God's hand clearing the path ahead. Perhaps you make that phone call He prompted you to make, and it leads to a job opportunity. Or you start that ministry, and God sends people to support and help it grow. You move to that new city, and you find that God had community and purpose waiting for you there. These are not coincidences. They are the fruit of obedience. Your obedience today is a seed for tomorrow's miracle. Think of a farmer planting a seed. The farmer can't see what's happening under the soil, but with time, that seed will sprout and eventually produce a harvest. When you obey God, you might not see immediate results. It might feel like nothing's happening, but under the surface of your situation, God is growing something. It will sprout at the right time, and you will reap a harvest of blessings and growth because you were faithful. Let's also be clear. Obedience isn't always glamorous. It might mean doing small things faithfully when no one is watching, or making hard choices that others don't understand. But no act of obedience is insignificant when it's done for God. Sometimes it's the private victories, saying no to a temptation, or being kind when you could be harsh, or continuing to pray when you feel nothing, that form the foundation for the big public victories. Finally, take comfort in this promise. God is with you every step of the way. He isn't sending you out alone. Just as He guided the Israelites through the wilderness with a cloud by day and fire by night, He will guide you. He has given us His Holy Spirit as an inner guide and comforter. If you remain attentive, you'll sense His guidance in your heart through Scripture and through godly counsel around you. And if you stumble or take a wrong step, He can redeem that too. God's grace is big enough to correct and redirect you as you keep moving. So what is it that God is asking of you right now? It might be something small like spending more time in prayer or reaching out to encourage a friend. It might be something big, like changing careers or starting a ministry. Whatever it is, decide to trust and obey. Don't wait for all the answers. The perfect moment is the moment God says, go. Take that step in faith. Your act of obedience today could be the very thing that ushers in something big. God has promised. As you move forward, do so with confidence that the future is in His hands. Every step of obedience you take is a step alongside God. He's walking with you into that future. You started this journey feeling stretched, challenged, even pruned. But now you walk empowered by faith, guided by His timing, with a heart stirred for His purpose. Keep going. He will guide you every step of the way, and soon enough you will step into the amazing destiny, truly something big, that He has been preparing for you all along.